Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Leslie Watkins. I am coming to you live today with a special edition called Painting with Water-Based Inks. And the reason being is because I've had such overwhelming response to the little picture that I painted of the hummingbird, which you can see on my YouTube channel at Dandelion Cottage Design. Maybe it's just Dandelion Cottage. I think it's just Dandelion Cottage. Anyway, what I wanted to do today was paint the exact same card, but this time using water-based inks, because I know a lot of you out there may not have watercolors. Maybe you are stampers and you've already got your inks and you'd like to be able to recreate the card. So I'm going to show you how. So the paper I have is a half sheet of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I've got a mat of Old Olive, but you can use any color you like. And then I have some very vanilla cardstock and a matching envelope. And for this, I'm going to be using this stamp set, A Touch of Ink. Hang on just a minute while I check my settings here. Okay, that looks good. So this is a terrific stamp set. A Touch of Ink is one of the free sets that you can get during Celebration when you spend $50 or more. And this is, oh actually this set is a little bit bigger. It's got 17. This is one that you get with a $100 purchase. There are also a number of other items in the catalog that you can get for $50 as well. And I will post a suggested list below after I do the video of some of the things that you might want to get that would qualify you to be able to get this stamp set. So today I'm going to be using the hummingbird, the leaves, the flowers, and the sentiment Thinking of You. And I've already gone ahead and I've mounted up all of these stamps. These are photopolymer stamps, so you can see through them, so you can be sure of your exact placement when you're stamping. And then I have a pad here. This is just a foam pad that I have covered with some scrap paper, and I'm going to use this to stamp off on. And what that means is I am not going to be using the ink full strength. I'm going to stamp it off once before I stamp my image onto the paper. So starting with the leaves, just going to get that inked up, stamp that off. And you can see that's quite dark. I don't want it to be that dark. And then I'm just going to place that in the upper left-hand corner. And that gives me a really nice impression. So I think you can see that. And it's a lot darker, or a lot less dark as this one is. So that's going to work better for what we're doing today. I'm going to do the exact same thing with my flower. Stamp it off, and then add it. And again, the hummingbird. And I'm going to save my sentiment for later. Okay, so today I'm going to be using one of the water painter brushes. This is a set that comes with 3 brushes. I'm using the middle one. I also have a cup of water off to the side, and I've got a paper towel handy. And then I have some of our water-based inks. So these are just the same thing that we use to refill the stamp pad with. I've just taken the re-inker and squeezed a couple of drops onto this little palette. And I don't remember all of the colors that I have in here offhand, but basically it's a red, yellow, and blue, and that's all you need. So I'm going to start with my lightest colors first. So I'm going to start with the yellow. And I'm just getting a little mixture with water off to the side. I'll zoom you in so you can see better. Okay. And I'm just going to put a light wash on my leaves. Just very quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of splashing it around on there. I'm going to go ahead and use the same thing on the flowers as well. This will help to get the get the paper a little moist. There we go. Now you can also work wet and wet. It's a little bit trickier to do wet and wet with inks than it is with watercolor, but you can do it if you'd like to do it that way. But obviously it would take a little longer to dry. Now I'm just going to take some of my blue and mix that with my yellow to get a nice green. And then I'll go back into my flowers and my leaves and just let that kind of wash over the whole thing. Get a little on the stem. There we go. So the quality of the painting when you work with ink is a little different than watercolor. Obviously with watercolor you have a lot more control because the ink is a dye color, meaning that the particles of the pigment are much smaller, and therefore they get down into all of the fibers of the paper, and once they're in there you can't move them. So it's a little easier with watercolor in my opinion, but you can definitely get a similar result with the inks, but I would add plenty of water. That way you can make any changes that you'd like as you go along. And I'll get these buds. Now I'm also going to be offering a class in February where I go into painting with inks and watercolor in much more detail. And if you'd like to learn more about that upcoming class, please subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, which is my monthly newsletter. and I will send you that, and in notes you will have all the information about the class, the materials, how to register, and everything else that you might be interested in. And this is going to be a special, longer class than what I typically do, because not only will I be showing you how to paint with watercolor, but I'll also be showing you how to do the exact same thing with inks. So if you're into stamping and you prefer painting with inks, this is the class for you. And, oops, let me clean my brush here. There we go. There we go. So I think you can see that that's starting to develop nicely. And at this point, all I'm doing is going into some of the shadow areas and getting a little more detail on the drawing of the leaves. Okay, so just using the tip of the brush here. There we go. All right, so he's starting to look pretty good. I just want to get some of these feathers established. And let's see if we can make his head a little more green. There we go. It's pretty cute. So these, as I was saying in the last video about the hummingbirds, I put out feeders for them throughout the summer. And here in Northwest Connecticut, they arrive right around Memorial Day every year, and then they leave on Labor Day. So it's pretty easy to remember when to be prepared for their arrival. And occasionally, if it's been a little bit warmer outside, they will come earlier than usual. And I will be out of doors doing something in the garden, and my resident hummingbird will buzz me to let me know that he's back and ready for the sugar water. And it just, you know, these things are smaller than the size of your thumb, and yet they remember to come back to the same place, and they know that you're responsible for putting that sugar water out. It's really kind of mind-boggling. All right, so we're just about done here. I'm just going to put a few touches on my flowers just to give them a little more color. There we go. So in the February class, I'm going to be using this stamp set, A Touch of Ink, and you can see that it's not only has the hummingbird and the leaves, the flower, but it's also got a butterfly. So that's going to be another subject that I'll be tackling in the class. All right, so So I think just a little more accent going back here. Make that a little brighter. Over here. Okay, now it's starting to look like something. There we go. They love red flowers. Now, if you have any questions, please leave your comments below, and I will absolutely get to your comment after the video is posted. I can't stop in the middle of painting to look at the comments, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right, and I think, excuse me, I think all I want to do now is just get a little more drawing in the hummingbird, so I'm just going to get that wing a little richer, get those feathers. Okay. And finally, I just want to get a little more detail on my petals over here. There we go. All right, so let's get our sentiment ready. And it seems to have disappeared for the moment. Honestly, oh, here it is, right in front of me, of course. Sometimes I think there are black holes on my desk when I can't find the things I'm looking for. So this again is the Thinking of You, and I'm going to be using the Old Olive ink. I'm just going to put that right there. Now I'm going to get my Old Olive mat, flip this over. This is the Tombow multi-purpose glue. I am going to list every item that I'm using here today below. Okay, and then I always give that a good burnish with the bone folder to make sure that that glue is evenly dispersed and there's no lumps. And then I have my card base here, which is a piece of the very vanilla thick cardstock, and that's just a sheet cut in half and folded to give me a 4.5 by 5 inch, or 5.5, 4.25 by 5.5 inch card. There we go. Now you could certainly add some embellishments to this if you'd like, but I'm going to keep mine fairly simple. I think just to show you, just so that it looks like the other one, I will add, I'm going to add some of these metallic pearls. So these are little embellishments that have the adhesive back to them. So you just lift them up with your pick tool. I'm just going to put a couple of these in the centers of the flowers like this. I'll put 3 on there. All right, now I'm going to go get my watercolor of the same subject so that we can look at the two of them side by side. I keep my watercolors wrapped up in these clear cellophane bags to protect them. They fit perfectly in there. Okay, so here is the watercolor that I did the other day, and you can go back and watch that video. And here is the same subject in ink. I'll zoom you in a little bit. All right, so I think you can see you can get a very nice effect either way. And I'd love to have you come and join me in the upcoming class, which is going to be painting with watercolor and water-based inks. We'll be using this wonderful set from Celebration, which you can get for free with an order of $100. And don't forget to subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and please try to do that before the 31st, so you just have 2 more days before the February issue comes out on the 1st, and I don't want you to miss anything. Alright, so thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know what you think. Tell me which one you like better. And let me know if there are any questions you have that I can answer, or any suggestions of something that you might like to see me paint. So stay well, stay creative, and I will see you tomorrow at Paper Crafting Saturday right here at 12 noon. Bye for now.